and welcome to TurboStar Interstellar Network, aka TIN, Episode 2. I am joined in the virtual studio by a cat, aka Mr. Shriggs. How's it going, Shriggs?
Hello, Baz. I'm doing good.
Excellent. I'm also joined by Tyremus. Hello, sir. How are you?
When I unmute my mic, I will be able to talk to you. I'm pretty good.
Yay. That's good. And Mr. Thundaga. How's it going, sir?
It's going good. Thanks,
It's,
guys.
what was this? What was Yeah, all right, that's good. All right, so the topics this week are going to be as follows. There was a Reddit post posted over on the WildStar subreddit about there's the hat, about the breakout gameplay or the spamming F to break out of a stun. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be discussing the Holy Trinity as well. So, first of all, how was everyone's week? Thundaga, how about yourself?
It's just been really busy. Like every day, just work, 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 work. That's all I do.
Well, what games have you played? Did you partake in the Titanfall beta?
No, I decided to just wait because I've got the Xbox One, so that means you get free beta. But I just decided I'm just gonna wait for the full game. I'm gonna buy it anyway. So
Okay, all right, fair enough. Now, are you gonna buy it day one or wait till the reviews to come out?
day one, I want
No.
to give it my own review.
Why?
I just do that usually. Like it's fun to have that kind of communal experience with the culture.
Okay, fair
Like
enough.
first day
I
like Wrath came out, for example.
totally agree. I think the culture for like Titanfall Day One is gonna be awesome. It's gonna be
Alrighty,
super wicked.
fair enough, fair enough. And Shriggs, how's your week been?
Pretty good. I've just been working on some various design projects. I've been working on making apertures, but they don't hold together when you use regular printer paper. So, yeah.
Well, you need GLaDOS to help you.
Yeah.
You need GLaDOS.
So,
Shriggs, what games have you been playing this week?
this week I've been playing lots of homework.
Oh, that sounds like a great
Yeah,
game.
that's really fun.
Oh man, Homework is like the best game ever, man.
Yeah, but I've been playing a little Fire Emblem Awakening. This is
Okay,
an awesome game.
very cool,
Oh,
very
for the
cool.
3DS.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Nice. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of really good things about that game. Is it true that there is like a romantic subplot for like every single character in that game?
I believe so.
All right, cool. So you get to pick some cute anime chick to befriend and eventually marry. Yeah. Anyway, Tyremus, how was your week been, sir?
Oh, it's been pretty good. Bought new computer parts, so
Ooh.
got that kind of set up. I hope had some issues, so we're gonna pretend that it all works properly, but we're good. Rocking an
Yeah.
i7 4770 now, so that
Nice.
should speed it up.
Very
As
cool.
for games, though, what I like to do is full screen Twitch feeds of people playing WildStar and unplug my keyboard and mouse and pretend I'm playing.
Kind of like what you would do with a little kid. Give him a controller and be like, "Yeah, you're playing, buddy. Totally, yeah." And then they just kind of,
Oh,
yeah.
the Pokemon thing?
Yeah, the Twitch Pokemon Twitch plays Pokemon is taken like gaming media by storm. I think it's one
All
of,
hail the Helix.
honestly, I think it's one of the most overrated things that we have ever come together as a gaming society. I mean, it's cool, but it was cool for like the first 24 hours, and then it's just like, all right, we're on like day.
Spiraled into madness when the trolls got a wind of it.
Yeah, there's that, and also it completely breaks Twitch chat. I
Yeah.
mean, like,
It's hilarious.
none of
If you
this.
get in and contribute, it's fun. But
Yeah, like none of the servers are working for like half the Twitch streamers. It's ridiculous. So, but apparently
it's great.
like it got so big they have to Twitch had to get their own server for just that one channel or something, which is just ridiculous. That's just maddening.
It's a fascinating concept, though. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's actually kind of retro in a lot of ways.
Hmm.
The type of control that you're forced to use, the usability issues. It's very interesting.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree. Definitely agree. And
Although I more enjoyed watching play Adam Sessler earlier. That was much
yeah,
more enjoyable.
that was actually pretty
Oh.
funny. Hello.
So,
Yeah, that's what I get for not charging my headset.
Uh-oh. Man, dude. We have a show. You don't come prepared. You almost like aren't able to join us because your computer explodes.
You remember that?
I'm prepared.
Oh geez, you have a knife.
Yeah.
That's not good. Well, that's okay.
Remember those problems I've been having?
Yeah, well, that's okay. My week's been fun. I had a interesting experience at work today. I had to stay 2 hours over, and I got rained on for 4.5 hours. But it's okay. I got like $20 in tips, so it kind of made up for it. So.
Oh, it's blizzarding here right now.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, it's funny. Ohio weather is like this just annoying concept of, okay, so it's going to be 50 today, thunderstorm, pouring rain, and then tonight it's supposed to be like negative 4,000. So we're just going to get all ice again, and then we're supposed to get more snow tonight. I'm just like, this winter sucks. Like I
I
normally
feel you, man.
It's 47 degrees Fahrenheit here.
bite me. Just
60 degrees over here.
Oh, Shrek, you're in Tornado
It's
Valley.
horrible,
Shut up.
man.
Just oh, it's horrible. It sucks to be nice weather and sun and.
I know. I could go outside in a t-shirt. How horrible is that?
I know, right? Anyway, so apparently this show is about WildStar. So let's get right into the meet and greet topics here. What have you guys seen about this breakout gameplay? I want to start with you guys' first original impressions on this. Thundaga, let's start with you.
Okay, yeah, sure. So I think the initial idea is amazing. I mean, everybody hates being crowd control, but everybody wants to have crowd control in their game to help kind of like control the battlefield. So they're like, okay, well, we'll help you mitigate crowd control. You're still going to be under crowd control, but because you're interacting with it, you don't feel it as much, which is, you know, an important improvement, I think.
Okay. Did you think that it was maybe a little bit too risky to try something different, or do you think that Carbine took a step further in where competitive PvP is supposed to go?
I think that it's already a concept that was there that wasn't refined. For example, like you can already get out of stuns in like, for example, World of Warcraft. You just click your trinket or use a special ability, right? But now instead of that, you have a kind of global usability version for each type of crowd control. So it's just another step up that was just made a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. Tyremus, what about your first impressions of this breakout gameplay concept?
I think it's kind of cool. I think removing it from trinkets is a nifty idea and stuff like that. Just like Baz was saying, if you did PvP, I mean, if you didn't have a trinket that allowed you to break a stun, you were screwed. So you had to have one. You had to take up that slot doing something else. You couldn't use something unique to do that. And I think like mechanically the way that they shrink the amount of skills and abilities that you're allowed to use in combat and then force you to change them in and out of each like encounter is really it would be really frustrating if you had to constantly have like, oh, this ability is the only ability that breaks a stun. Guild Wars is a lot like that. If you see some of their abilities are like, this one breaks a stun, this one does this, and if you have to have them if you're doing certain kinds of combat.
Okay, fair enough. It looks like Shriggs has left us once again. He probably got kidnapped by Chuo, which happens a lot. So, my initial first impressions were just, you know, it was an interesting concept, and I felt that something definitely needed to be done to really kind of minimize the amount of, I guess, static. What's the word I'm looking for? A static boredom of just, oh no, I've been stunned. Quick trinket number 2, and that kind of thing. It's, you know, I'm glad and kind of upset at the same time because I like keeping things the way they were. Like, you know, if it's ain't broke, don't fix it type of deal. But I really enjoy what they're trying to do, and from what I've seen so far and from what I've heard on reviews and YouTube videos and other streamers, is that it gives the game a little bit more fresh appeal rather than just, you know, spamming your stupid mouse wheel scroll, which is what I had mine bound to whenever you got stunned. But I think that there's definitely some criticism for this because if we've watched, you know, if you guys have watched streamers and listened to some YouTube stuff, is people are saying it gets really old really quickly, and they're like, okay, it's fun for like the first couple times, but then afterwards, or there are certain stuns that just take forever. Like I remember reading somewhere where there was like one stun that like took like 15 presses or something like that, just like something stupid that was just like way too much. So what are you guys' thoughts on the replayability of this type of mechanic? Do you think it'll get old, or do you think that this is going to stay the way it is and the community will just kind of accept it? Tyremus, we'll start with you.
I don't know. Like, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think the fact that you can just do the dodge and jump back up from a knockdown is gonna pretty much negate knockdowns in a lot of circumstances. And I mean, maybe not so much in PvP when it's like a whole group, or PvE when it's a whole group, but like in PvP, you knock somebody down and they're quick on their feet. With some of the other things, so like, I mean, the blindness is a great idea, and that they have, like, when it screen blinds you, it's interesting because it's an aimed game, so that means you have to pay attention to where you actually are and actually remember the environment. If you turn left or if you turn around too much, you might end up running off a cliff. And
Like we saw in the crowd control ability where the Chua got disoriented. This was in their
That's my favorite. That's my favorite one. I can't
DevSpeak
wait
one,
to get something that lets me disorient people, and then that's going to be the best one for PvP. I'm saying PvP a lot because a lot of stuns and things like that. Like, from my experience in a lot of games, like, stuns have never been a really huge thing that you did to PvE.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, like, it's the whole concept of interrupt armor and that kind of stuff is really neat. But
although,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. Finish.
I'm going to interrupt both of you then.
Fine.
So, I believe Carbine has played Diablo 3, where you can get to Diablo, the final boss, and just stun lock him to death. And I think they wanted, but I think they also obviously played WoW because many of they're WoW developers. So they're like, you know what, we have all these crowd control mechanics and we have all this PvE. Why can't we merge them together somehow?
Yes.
So I think that's where the interrupt armor is kind of beautiful, really.
Yeah, it's one of those concepts that I feel, me personally, might get annoying after a while, because like you're just kind of hypothetical here. You're like in the heat of a PvP match, you're trying to press all these hotkeys and move your mouse everywhere and making sure all your telegraphs are there, and you're watching the ground, and then all of a sudden you get stunned, and that just completely throws you off. Now, I'm 100% positive that's intentional, because you're gonna be so focused on the combat and making sure that you're like super focused, and then all of a sudden this thing pops up and you're not moving, and you're gonna take like half a second to whatever reaction time it is, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to start spamming F, and so, or whatever your key is that set the hotkey. And I think it's mainly there to just throw the player off, which is, I'm not sure how I feel about that, guys. I'm not sure if I like that. like that's like messing with my mojo. I don't know. Tandaka, do you feel that that's more of a bonus to kind of throw the player off the game?
Well, I think Carbine has their own mojo, first of all, and they really don't give a damn about controversial decisions. But
that's a very good point.
They are definitely keeping the player's experience in mind, though. They don't want to like crush you with all these new ideas, which is why they've stated over and over and over that yes, every point of the game is trying to ease you into this new mechanic concepts that they've been working on. For example, with interrupt armor, they stated quite clearly in their press release of Stormtalon's Lair, one of the first 2 dungeons you can go into, that interrupt armor is the first time you really see this, like, as a group. And it's a very simple boss fight for when you have to use it. It's like, run through this gauntlet. It's very obvious when it happens, and when you get to them, you just blow your stun on the boss, and the interrupt armor is done. As compared to maybe some raid bosses, which are going to require like different phases of crowd controls, and in 40-man content, maybe entire like groups that are just specifically for crowd control.
Right.
Going back to that idea of hybridization. So, there's a lot of new stuff going on, but they're going to hold your hand until they feel like you're ready, and then they're going to kick your ass.
Okay, that's fair. Shriggs, we are talking about the breakout gameplay mechanic of the spamming whatever hotkey you have bound to stun, or what are your thoughts on that? What are your initial impressions on that? Let's start with your initial impressions.
I think at first it's a really cool mechanic. Like I like every breakout gameplay mechanic except for maybe F. Like it seems like spamming F could get old after a while.
You mean
Mhm.
stun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what they could do is replace it with a different mechanic. One thing I've seen is a mechanic where there's a bar and there's a little beam of light that moves across the bar, and you have to tap it at the bar.
Okay.
Maybe they can replace it with that, so it's like it's different every time. It moves slower, it moves fast, and you have to get the F's right instead of just.
See, I don't think that's very synergistic with the whole idea of the
Right.
stun, though. I mean, first of all, you're in PvP combat or like some really like adrenaline rush PvE like raid boss moment, let's say, and suddenly a little bar shows up and you have to click it. Like exactly that like that's almost as bad because it's you're probably in like kind of a heightened state and you want to click really fast. You might even click it accidentally right away. Like
Well, Yeah, well, one of the things I've been noticing with the streams with the breakout gameplay, and I'm talking about the F key in chat here, is that it seems to be just the F key for quite a lot of them. I know,
Yes.
I know that that it's like with knockdowns, you can double tap your dodge roll, and that's you roll out of it, and then blindness, there's you can just keep firing and just pretend, and the confusion is apparently just they change the keys around so that your backwards is forwards maybe, or your left is backwards or something. So you're kind of confusing yourself
Right.
a little bit like that, but you can still play.
That's
But,
cool. I like that idea a lot.
I like that, but it looks like a lot of the other ones, like the idea of like stunned is like spam F until you're unlocked.
Mhm.
I would that's not my favorite. I think it should be a lot more like Simon says, like F, like press like 3 or 4 keys, like press F, A, X, Y, and Z, and then you can get out. More like a quick time event.
What if it was just like 3 or 4 taps every time instead of a random number?
Or a word. You had to type a
No,
word.
gosh, no! No, no!
Oh my god!
and then Wildstar, they keep typing on the dead.
Carbine, get on that. House of the Dead. Go, 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 go.
No. The main reason is because there's people like me that are dyslexic, and I will get that wrong every single time. No, that's a horrible
The
idea.
more for me to win at duels.
Yeah,
The real problem here with stun though is that it's the core CC.
Yeah.
Every other CC has a way to mitigate it that's kind of like fresh and new. Like with knockdown, which is kind of like stun,
Mhm.
you can blow a dodge on it and get out of it.
Mhm.
With blind, you can kind of mitigate it by kind of seeing through it. Although sometimes when you get blind, you actually do automatically miss your next hit for a limited time.
Yeah, yes. So, I'm kind of going on the whole blind mechanic. I think this is the first one in any MMO that actually blinds your screen, which is who would have thunk it? Like, oh my gosh, you're blind, you can't legitimately see anything. Now, from what we've seen on the streams, is like you can see somewhat, kind of like someone's like really like squinting, and then it slowly like opens that. So, I think that the truly skilled players are definitely going to be able to really kind of see that really small area and still be able to do stuff. But like you were saying, Thundaga, according to the streamers, that that blind can occasionally make your next attack actually miss, which is also just really, really cool. The other, I think really the other thing that we were kind of seeing on Reddit and just in the whole general discussion is people were really scared of the game turning into a lot of like weird, like kind of mash A button mechanics, which like in a sense is okay because obviously fighting games do that, that's fine. Other games do that and it works, but I mean technically I don't feel that as Striggs was pointing out, I don't think that it needs to be a constant thing for like a lot of stuff. Like watching people quest from level 1 to 15, I did see a lot of use F for this, use F for that, use F for this. Now, the whole Simon Says thing is really neat, because it's the whole press X keys or whatever. I think that might be a cool thing for Carbine to test, or at least attempt to try. Maybe even have the stun breaker like 3 different options. Like you can have it set to spam F, do this or do that, like kind of player preference type of thing, and like they're all kind of balanced in a way. I'm not sure how well that would actually go.
Well, it looks like they have multiple different kinds of F spamming. Like one's a hold, one's a.
But I don't
a
like that.
One's a tap, or like
Yeah.
one's a tap repeatedly, and I don't know. It's
Like,
it's good to mix it up. It
yeah.
doesn't really bug me a lot. And the other one is that like doodle-a-doo thing where it's got like the zone that you have to like pass over. I don't know. I want to see what that's like when you hit it, like what that slider is like. Is it going to be DDR frustrating, or is it
DDR frustrating. That's a
No,
great way to put it.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I swear I saw a DDR like mini game in this game from someone.
Oh yeah, it's in the Exiles
Yeah.
main city.
Mhm.
So
You can go play DDR and like
The worst part is it's not a plot for your house.
oh,
Maybe
yeah.
some- maybe someday.
that we
I mean,
know
like,
of yet, Shrigs. I mean, that could
Yeah,
be.
I mean it could be.
I've looked around. I know it's people like posted on YouTube comments and stuff.
Well, I mean,
Well, they haven't posted everything. I mean, obviously
yeah, I
they're still
mean,
under
we still have
NDA.
Endgame to look at. We still have adventure loot and all this other cool stuff. So you
better
don't
put it
worry,
in.
Shrigs. Don't worry, Shrigs. I'm sure that once the game goes live and you get your house, you can have your DDR pad. So don't worry.
I hope so.
Whatever. There'll be a forum somewhere that you can QQ hard enough, and maybe they'll give it to you.
One thing I do hear about Carbine like quite a bit is that if you want it and like there's enough like support for it, they will put it in. I mean, they have a team that
Yeah.
was told not to put a mechanic in and just spent a weekend doing it anyway. The mini dungeons and the housing whatever.
Yeah,
that
that's
that they're-
right.
Like those weren't supposed to be in the game at launch, and they just put it in because they're like, no, we're doing this.
Yeah, I actually was reading an interview watching or reading. I can't remember. I do a lot of that. That they were one of the producers was talking about how their dev team is made up of a lot of guys who are very fresh to gaming, and they are like programming for gaming, and they went through this whole process, and a lot of them are just throwing things in games that they're like, I really love this, I really
Right.
want this, I really think this is cool, and that's how they got double jumping. One of the guys was like, we should do this, and he spent all weekend programming a double jump and doing that, getting the animations together and everything, and he's like, look what I did, and it was just like mostly like a proof of concept, and then
Mhm.
everybody was like, put it in the game.
You know, that actually brings up a really good point. To kind of derail our conversation here real quick. The way that Carbine has really kind of handled their game development, I think, is very, very unique. I mean, if we look at Tesso's, which is the Elder Scrolls Online game development, or EverQuest Next. I mean, EverQuest Next is kind of open with their community, but like, I really feel this is just my personal impression that a lot of their like roundtable stuff is like really kind of politic answers, and they're not being completely open and honest with what they're
Right.
trying to do, and like
Their Reddit and their roundtable are very much like, we've made these decisions,
right.
but from what I gather, like from friends and stuff who are doing the alpha and doing a lot of the testing and things like that, their actual like beta forums, they're listening to their fans in there, and they're
Alright.
like, oh, okay, that's where the topics from the roundtable are being generated from, but not so much off of their Reddit. And their Reddit and things like that are very much like after the fact of choices being made.
Well, I mean, with the only problem with that is they're not being like, they're giving the impression that they're not like really open with their community, where in Carbine's case, they're just like, Carbine's like, yeah, we'll just tell you pretty much everything as long as we don't get in trouble or sued by our development company.
The only thing I really appreciate about Carbine is that they don't, you know.
They don't shoot around the bush, basically.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a PC way to say that phrase.
No,
But,
you know what? That's
but
the best way to say it.
They tell you, I'm gonna do this,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, we're just not going to. Like if they don't want to do it, they just won't. They won't.
Right.
They'll straight up. They're like, yeah, that's not something that's on the plans. Maybe one day, but probably not.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that with like some of the story elements that people have been talking about on Reddit,
Mhm.
or some of the things that like people wanted like pets and like vanity pets, and they're like, yeah, maybe, but probably not right now. And
Please
definitely not at launch.
Please no. I don't want Pokemon in WildStar. I just don't.
Hey, you know what?
I
The
do.
Pokemon and WoW is
I want it
pretty
in
fun,
Wild-
and I fought really hard against that.
No, I want
Thundaga,
Pokemon and WildStar, and I also want it to be able to be controlled by Twitch.
please no. Anyway, Thundaga, you wanted to make a point, sir.
Oh, I thought we were still on the part where we were talking about the different types of development. Then you guys switched to Vanity Fairs.
No.
Go right ahead.
Go right ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just gonna say that they have kind of they have an IP built already. So there's a lot of, as you said, fans that are
Mhm.
like, no, Elder Scroll has to be like this, or Blizzard suffers from that as well.
Hmm.
So when they do their development, it feels like they're almost more harsh towards people because they're like, no, we're not building that type of game, even though it's what people want sometimes.
Right.
Which is another reason why like they're gonna kind of have a hard time on release, I think, because some people are gonna be expecting something very different to what the product is.
Yeah, with the name, and that's another thing. Like that's a lot to do with branding too. Like the name, it says this product is EverQuest. It should be EverQuest. I mean,
Right.
a lot of I have a friend who's hardcore into Guild Wars, and yeah, he hates
me
Guild
too.
Wars. He hates Guild Wars too. Like he doesn't like the personal story. He misses his cinematics. He misses the long epic quest lines that just weren't there. For
What?
him.
You mean he doesn't like content that's reused every 2 weeks and has like no meaning to the actual bare amount of the game? What? Oh man, I can't believe he doesn't like Guild Wars 2. That sucks. Moving. moving.
Wait a second. Wait a
Yes.
second. Baz, are you the only one who can't understand chat right now?
I don't speak. The only thing I speak is English, so pretty much.
Oh, you're the. I only speak 2 languages: English and bad English.
Exactly. So moving.
He's talking about 1337.
I don't. Yeah, I can do elite speak. So moving right along to our next topic, which is going to be the Holy Trinity. Now, this is not Jesus, God, and the Holy Spirit. This is a Holy Trinity of MMO combat, and that is going to be tank, healer, DPS. And I was really surprised that games are going back to the Holy Trinity after Guild Wars 2 had such a success with their combat system. Now, that doesn't mean that Guild Wars 2's combat system is good, but it was a lot of fun. They allowed you to have a lot of cool tricks and stuff, but eventually people figured it out and was like, okay, this doesn't actually work very well.
Baz, the chat's already like, don't get Baz started on Guild Wars.
I know, just don't, don't do it. Now, the way that the Holy Trinity works, for those of you that might not know, is the tank holds aggro while the healers in the back keep that target alive, and the DPS kill the main tank or the main boss or whatever they're actually doing. Now, in WildStar, it's a little bit different because you have the medic, which is your close range healer, and your spell slinger and esper, which are like kind of the range / normal healers, and then you have all the other classes that do pretty much everything else. So it's more of a controlled combat environment rather than, hey, anyone can do anything, just go crazy. What do you guys think of what? Okay, what are the benefits of having a Holy Trinity combat system in a game like WildStar? Shriggs, we're gonna start with you.
Well, the most obvious thing is boss fights, where it's easier to construct a boss around a set system like that. It's incredibly easy to do. When you take away the Holy Trinity, the idea of creating a boss that is challenging, but not so challenging that it can just run up and smack someone, they're instantly dead, becomes a lot easier to happen. It's like with the Trinity, there's some fail safes you can do in boss design.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's very true. Speaking of fail safes, it's an interesting point that you actually bring up because, like there are certain classes that are going to be able to, say you're 1% and oh my gosh, the tank just died. Quick, so and so that can do some sort of aggro or has the second highest aggro. Tank the boss for a little bit. We'll heal you and kill it. This actually happened to me in Karazhan when fighting the one ghost dragon. I don't remember what his name was, but the tank died. I was the second highest aggro because I was a rogue, and they're like, tank it, and I used my evasion, and we killed it. So, I mean, stuff like that, like fail-safes, like Shig was talking about, you can have that in games like WildStar and World of Warcraft and Rift and that kind of stuff. Tyremus, what is your take on the Holy Trinity system?
I think it's incredibly necessary from someone who spent all like his life growing up playing Dungeons and Dragons. Now you
Mhm.
guys can make fun of me if you want, but it's some of
That-
the best times of my
I
life.
target the darkness.
um,
Magic missile.
so, exactly, exactly.
I'm playing
So,
D&D
but like,
right now.
it has a huge prevalence when you're in combat to designate roles and what people are doing. I think the whole removal of the Holy Trinity in Guild Wars was a fairly big issue because it removed the necessity for you to be a team, it, but the game was trying to force teamwork on everyone. So it was this dichotomy of having to deal with players that didn't know where they were supposed to be or what they were supposed to be doing, and all kind of like Zerg rushing and doing things just that didn't sync up. You get a lot of that in like World v World. But like that aside, I mean, if you look at some of the other games that have been doing like Holy Trinity for a long time, like WoW, the balancing of that is actually fairly important, and that same kind of balancing happens in D&D. So when they were talking about bringing back the Holy Trinity and they want the Holy Trinity, mostly, that was just slighting Guild Wars for WildStar there. They had all their classes and they laid it out and they said, we're going to make everybody a DPS. And then we're going to just split it 50-50. I think that was the best decision. Like, I think the biggest problem with the Holy Trinity is not having people roll the right classes when you're in it, and you're not going to have enough of the right people for. You don't have the right people for a group, or you don't have the right people geared for a specific thing, and yada yada. But like with having 50% of your, guild going to be tanks and 50% are healers, you can put somebody in that role right away,
Right.
and then figure out if they're good at it.
So, the Holy Trinity system is definitely kind of like the bread and butter of a lot of MMO combat. Thundaga, what is your take on this?
Okay, well, first of all, I think it's important to note that the Holy Trinity was an accident, like many game mechanics. The first time it showed up, people were like, "Oh, you can have a tank.
It
Oh, you
works.
can have a heal." People discovered through, just trying to break games that they could have a closed system of essentially infinite mitigation
Right.
and survivability, which is basically the tank and the healer.
Mhm.
And this is a problem for devs because they're like, no, you shouldn't have that. So they decided to put in stuff like enrage timers and objectives and stuff that
Rage
give you
timers.
a time limit.
Yeah.
And that's where the DPS comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously WildStar has all these things. They do. There are three possible tanks in a group. For class-wise, there's 3 possible healers, and there are 6 possible DPS. Pretty decent amount considering that it's a 1 to 3 ratio with a tank, a healer, and 3 DPS usually. But as I've said many times, hybridization, big thing. Crowd control mechanics suddenly becoming a big thing in PvE.
Yeah.
So the Holy Trinity is still there. For sure, there's still going to be like a main tank and a raid. There's still going to be main healers. In fact, there's going to be really crazy things, probably like main healer CC focuses and all sorts of
Right.
stuff. But because there's so much in between, like after you get those like couple really staunch super tanks and super healers, there's going to be like DPS lifesteal healers and
Mm-hmm.
tanks that aren't just for off tanking, but can switch to like DPS mode. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, you actually bring up a really good point where we're going to have healers that are not only for healing, but are going to be for that interrupt armor, or for just solely debuffs, or like just whatever. I mean, it really makes the Holy Trinity a little bit more diverse because we don't have, okay, I'm a shaman, I can just heal everything with 2 buttons, or you have a druid and you just face roll your keyboard and everyone stays topped off for 45 years.
Hey,
I mean,
base rolling is not that easy.
it's
I
not.
get splinters.
Yeah. What, you have a wooden keyboard?
Yes, it's very nice.
Well, I mean, they do technically have bamboo. So, anyway, so I mean, it is one of those things that I think the way that the raids are going to be designed for WildStar. I mean, the only raid that we have actually seen is from the Vine, which is the he sneak attacked a raid, and we saw it for like literally 2 seconds, and that's like all we've seen. Now
that was a thing?
Yeah, that was the thing. It's on WildStar's Vine, and
Really?
They did leak all of the initial boss
did.
fights, I believe, except for maybe some of the final bosses for the raid stuff.
They
Like we know
And
that there's like
they
mega
leaked the
metal mobs and
names,
They-
stuff.
they-
not the fights.
they leaked one of the raids, like almost the whole zone with a Passover when they were doing something at PAX. They did it on video. You can watch somebody filming
That's
it
right,
on
they
a
did.
camera from on a TV, and it
Yeah.
was like a press thing.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. That's probably been changed 1,000 times by now. So, I mean, it's beta. Carbine likes to change things. I mean, just from what we've seen in the level 1 to 15 dungeons, and I mean that stuff. Like, just imagine 20 to 40 people doing that. Like, that's gonna be crazy. I mean, like, it gives a whole new meaning to "don't stand in the fire."
I generally don't roll healers, and the reason is because I like to either roll a tank or a DPS because I want to be doing something quite often. I want to be running around, and I always felt like healers were like stand at a range, click all of the names, cast the spells, throw down your AOE.
Well,
Maybe
that's-
run in and throw down an AOE if you have to be at the center of the AOE. And like I never really found that fun. I know some people like really get a like OCD about like bars and how green they are, but yeah, no, I never really thought it was fun. But like watching some of these combats and like seeing the whole raid thing, just like, or the whole like encounter where there's all these like dodge around, the healer's gonna have to run around, especially the medic. His heal is like what, 15 feet,
15-ish yards, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's close. Like I can't imagine what happens when a spell slinger is like losing health, DPS in the back, and the medic's like say up at the front with the tank. Like, does he just go like sorry, or does he run for it? Like,
Well, another
know?
interesting thing there is like not only are there apparently lots of escape mechanics, but like I think every class may have a blink of some sort. Don't quote me on that though, but
What?
I've seen a lot.
I think you're right with like I think almost every class has like a move mechanic, because they mentioned in one of their either dev speaks or like AMAs or like talks or something like that in a video, maybe a live stream, where they were talking about the warrior's leap mechanic, and they're like, if you fall off a cliff and you leap right before you hit the ground, like all the classes have some kind of move ability that'll be able to mitigate that damage. Well, I just gotta turn on the light.
So that's cool. So it's like the old school Zelda Ocarina of Time. Like, for those of you who didn't know, like if you were about to fall off a giant cliff, you could dodge, you could roll, and it would save Link from actually dying, which was such a funny mechanic, because you would fall hundreds of feet and then just roll, and he'd be like, "Yeah, 10-10, I'm great, I'm okay." So, go ahead though.
Whoa. Well, like it's interesting because I was also going to say that most classes that normally wouldn't have the ability to sustain themselves through healing suddenly do. For example, if
Yeah.
you're a medic DPS or a spell slinger DPS, you could blink away and then heal up yourself. You wouldn't even need the healer, as long as you had it on your action bar, which is why the
Have
limited
they
action
shown
is so
the
small.
medic blink or whatever you're talking about?
Yeah, like okay, all the things I've seen from watching, I forget who it was. Maybe he's like Zyback or something for his
Probably
his
Zyback.
his 1 to 15 PvP battleground stuff. And
That's
for the medic,
right. You're right.
for the medic, he was using this blink move to get away after like getting in too deep with his medic DPS, and then he would grab like whatever buff he needs, heal up, and then go back in and get some more kills. Like he almost never died.
Interesting. So, Shriggs, you're the only one we haven't heard about this, so go.
In terms of movability, from what I've seen, the least movable class right now is the engineer, because from what I've seen from the talent picture, he only has the one ability that pushes him backwards.
Yeah.
This game is going to shine when it comes to movability in raids,
Yeah.
because really, there's so much we've already seen. We've seen just from like stuff we've seen in the world. It's like there's like the crystals, the areas with the crystals that have 0G that'll make you fly up into the air. And there's that one quest in Dune that gives you super speed. Stuff like that. If they throw that into raid to make that part of raid encounters, or just dungeons or some mechanic in a PvP zone, it'll be crazy.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see now that the NDA has been lifted for certain presses up to level 29, I think it is.
Really? Oh
Really?
yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Tally was streaming today.
Yeah, they also like Kaylee and who was it? I think a bunch of guys, or the Yogs cast. They were all streaming the first dungeon, and they were going through all that at level 20.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see how what the other zones are going to be like, because the starting zones are really cool, but I want to see some more kind of mid game range content stuff, and I'm curious to see if they're going to have any type of contested areas, or like super open PvP zones like Star Wars Old Republic did with Ilum, because that was a lot of fun. I mean, even though no one went there because it was horribly designed, but I mean, the concept was just so cool, because it was like everyone's doing the same exact quests, and you have that huge like open battlefield, and everyone's just like killing each other. It was just great. And I mean, I think that if anyone's going to be able to do this right, Carbine's definitely going to be able to kind of make that to a point where it just works really well. So going back to the Holy Trinity topic, which kind of started this whole thing, do you guys feel that a certain role, based on what you guys have seen so far, might be left in the dark a little bit? Tyremus, we're going to start with your thoughts on that.
What'd you say?
Good job. Good job. Who is listening?
I was typing keys at the same time. I heard something about WildStar and
Okay.
you.
From the Holy Trinity system, what have you seen that might give you any indication that a certain subclass would get left out in the dark, like DPS healer or tank?
I don't really think that they're gonna be left in the dark or anything like that. But I really think that we're gonna get very compartmentalized classes. Like if you were a spell slinger, these are the tasks that you can do. You may be able to do DPS, but your functionality of DPS is not in any way the same as anyone else.
Right.
I really think that that's going to be the same for the tanks, and that's going to be the same for their healers. And like from what I've seen, the healing has been very like, if you're an Esper healer, you'd be good in some situations, but you maybe not all. And I think they're doing that on purpose.
Okay, that's a good point.
So I don't know about left in the dark, but I can see that maybe maybe we're gonna run into a situation where like you're a spell slinger and you're say we're in a 5-man group and we're in a dungeon and we get to an encounter where maybe you just can't handle it.
Okay, so do you think that we might see certain classes or certain class specs not welcome in raids? Shriggs, I'll let you take that question.
For the first bit of rating, probably definitely. There's always going to be
Probably definitely.
You sound certain. Like
I am
absolutely.
I am
You sound
60% certain on this.
99.4% certain.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just the min-maxing. Actually, no, I'm going to rescind that. I don't think there will be a overall spec and the general populace that will be rejected as something they can't bring to a raid. But for the super hardcore people, yeah, of course, they're going to leave out something because it's going to be the brain fart. It's going to screw up their rotation, and they can't get progressive bosses unless they have the best specs, because they're going to be doing it with low gear, because they're going to be going through that content as fast as possible.
Yeah, I think with the min-maxers, that'll definitely take precedence. Thundago, what are your thoughts on this topic?
I'm sorry, the chat has been super distracting. What are we on now?
You guys are just such great co-hosts. Everyone just pays attention. It's just wonderful.
Maybe I just want to talk World PvP. Have you ever thought about that?
All for you, Baz.
I hate you guys.
Also the hat.
So
oh my
next
god.
show's
I mean,
gonna
how
be
can
like
I say it?
30 hours long.
It is. The question was, do you think any classes or specs is going to be left out in the dark for raids?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Because with more variability, the amount of specs that you can't use also increases. Like if you have 10 specs that are good in one game, and then another game says, "Oh, we're going to do that thing, but we're going to add more hybridization." Obviously, like if there's 15 specs now, there's probably like 30 you can't use.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always going to be a best spec for a situation. That's just how it works. But the interesting like thing that Carbine's bringing to me is like, oh well, we have a lot of different situations. You might actually want to switch out that, DPS rotation a little bit to maybe add in like a cleanse or something because
Yeah.
we don't have enough cleansers.
That's
Or
another thing I wanted to bring up about what they've said.
Yes, go ahead, Triggs.
Yeah, well, just what he said. And Carbine stated that for their raids and encounters, they're going to have varied stuff where you can't just have cookie cutter specs for the entire raid. You're going to have to switch it up on a boss to boss basis.
Mm-hmm.
I actually Kickley girl here in the chat's talking about healers and like she actually likes the opposite of what I like, and that's that micromanaging with everything. And from what I gather, the Esper style of gameplay is that style of gameplay. It's a tab targeted single target for the most part, like heavy healer.
Okay.
With a few AoEs and things like that. And that's what I've been getting from like what people are saying about it, what the videos are. It also is like stand and cast.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the abilities that you can't run around, you can't move, you got to stop, you got to cast it, and then you got to go. And because of that, it's incredibly bursty.
Yeah, on that note, like you have kind of like two different edges of the spectrum, right? You've got the medic, which is super mobile, super melee, but has it looks like fairly strong survivability as well as maybe
Right.
even DPS when it goes to DPS. But then you've also got the Esper on the other end, which is just like, I'm going to sit here and heal everything. I can't move very well, but I can heal really well from my spot. And then you've got obviously a Spellslinger, which is in the middle because it's a very mobile class. But it's that one's kind of weird because some of the mechanics that I saw for healing, like I forgot what the first one is, whatever it is. It's like a runic heal or something. But when you're mobile, you can cast this heal while
Right,
mobile
right.
as a Spellslinger.
Yeah,
But if
that's
you're
the
standing
Spellslinger
still,
thing.
it heals for more though. So it's like, oh, I want to stand still, but I don't have to.
Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat as wow, my brain just shut off too. Shriggs, you're passing on the disease, buddy. You're passing on that disease. What the heck is wrong with me?
So many things.
So many things. So many things.
Oh, so many.
Anyway, so I really do enjoy the whole micromanage. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. I do enjoy the micromanagement of healing, and I really did enjoy playing a shaman back in the day, and just kind of really being able to just completely have my UI set up where I can just heal and focus on the combat. So for me, I'm gonna try a medic because I like the whole mobile, but I'm gonna try an Esper, which is really weird because I hate range classes like with a passion. But
Well, Baz, did you ever play Warhammer online?
I did for about 5 minutes and was like, nope.
Well, what I'd like to note is that like I've only played a healer once in my MMO career,
Mm-hmm.
like ever, because I'm really not a big fan of sitting there and just being like, click, click. But in Warhammer Online, they had a class called Disciple of Cain,
Mhm.
which was essentially a melee lifesteal healer who
Okay.
could, using its damage, heal much better than many other classes could heal normally. And to me, it seems like medics kind of go on that route. Like you want to get in the fray, you want to not take that much damage, and you want to keep through. Maybe like okay, the medic has some of the weirdest heals from what I've seen. They have an ability called Shield Surge, which actually does damage in a cone, I think, from what the video had, and it also restores shields as well to anything in that cone.
Okay.
They also have a crit ability, supposedly called Dual Shock, where when you use it, you hit, and then a portion of that damage is converted to healing for your party. So they have those like crazy lifesteal things going on.
Now, yeah, I mean, Gary, you had a point, so go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's like Zyback was talking about like the different kinds of healers and like especially in PvP, and he was talking about how the medic is probably going to be your best like go-to healer for like shields.
Yes.
And that's going to be like if you want to keep shields up and if you want to keep health and shields up, that's like it's the medic. But like from what I've seen though, like with the medic, it looks like you're going to be playing a lot with and I think this is going to happen a lot with most of the classes, but more so with this one because of the fact you have to run to the distance and then cast it, and then run to the distance and then cast it.
Right.
Is you're going to be sitting on drained bars a lot. Like people are not going to be sitting around like at max health because you're such an amazing healer constantly. Like it's going to be constantly going down. You're going to have to like run around and micromanage that to an extreme. And even getting really good at it, you may or may not really get max bars. I have nothing to do.
What's also kind of frustrating there is that even if you're the best healer in the world, there's also a really big team skill mechanic. Because if your friends just sit in the telegraphs, they're gonna die. That's pretty much Carmine's
Don't
promise.
stand in the fire.
If you stand in the fire,
But
which there is a lot of in this game.
I actually thought of a new dynamic that this brings into the play. All of the abilities we have right now are all aimable. So it's not just standing in the fire, but moving into your friendly fire heals.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, like
It's a whole new thing we're not even talking about.
Yep.
like you set down a heal zone, or like you're like, hey, here's a spot that has health. It's
And
your
then people don't move into it.
Your
And then
problem.
they screw themselves.
This may be why actually the medic might be the highest skill cap healer, because everything is melee and you have to hit multiple targets. Sometimes targets that are very, very far away.
But aren't
And-
most of his abilities AoE?
They are.
Well, everybody's abilities are AoE though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
like the
Bigger
Spellslinger-
than the other healers. So
Spellslinger is
my mind,
AoE.
Spellslinger would have the hardest time to heal because most of his abilities are on a straight cone.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
I think they're gonna be the easiest actually because they're so mobile. Like they're gonna have
That's
the
fair.
easiest time to move between place to place and do
Yeah.
because I take it back. Not everything is AoE.
Like a
The,
balancing act.
like Baz said, some of them are like tab target abilities for healing, which I think is going to be actually kind of hard in such a mobile game.
Well, I mean, technically, it wasn't hard in like World of Warcraft or anything. Like a lot of the really actual challenging fights, like you healed and moved, healed and moved. I mean, it kind of became a second nature. Like I don't feel that it's gonna be that difficult. I just think it's just retraining your brain to really understand the certain phases and telegraphs that the bosses are gonna do.
So
What are you guys
so
laughing about?
I had something covering the chat and I minimized it, and all I can see is in quotes, "You can't heal, stupid."
Yeah.
Kudos to Kick.
Developers been fighting against that for like years now, and it's still just it's uncurable, really.
You can't beat it. You can only eradicate it
Yeah,
It's
with
true.
super challenging content.
that heal starts with a self heal.
Dark Souls motto.
You know what? That is what this episode is going to be called. Is you can't heal stupid. That is a great episode title. I like it.
Girl, you are today's MVP in chat.
I mean, honestly, that needs to be a T-shirt. We are going to
I'm pretty sure it is.
probably, but I don't care. We're gonna make an official 10 T-shirt that says you can't heal stupid. So
Okay.
that's
I'll
gonna
get
be a
on it.
thing. Yeah, Shrig's gonna do some artwork for that, and it'll be in stores soon in about 10 years. So just
I'll put it behind the boat sword that I never did.
That's a realistic projection.
it is. Oh man, oh boy. All right, so before we go here, I want to mention a couple more of some things about the Holy Trinity here. As far as DPS is concerned with the Holy Trinity, we have mentioned that the Esper is that kind of turret like a elemental shaman would be from World of Warcraft. The Spellslinger is going to be that super like just mobile DPS like a Hunter or well, I guess Hunter is the better one out of World of Warcraft because Mage you have to stand still to cast everything as well. And then we have the Warrior and the Stalker and the Medic, which is weird saying Medic as a DPS, but who are obviously going to be the most mobile out of all the classes. Shrigs, what do you feel is going to be the top DPS in this game? Just pure speculation.
In a raid environment, the Spellslinger.
Yes, Spellslinger. Okay. Why is that?
Because while it does have the narrow AoE pack or AoE damage, it has the highest, fastest damage output. So in an raid environment where the enemies aren't moving that much, they have a easier time hitting stuff. In a PvP environment, the Spellslinger is going to have the toughest time.
Okay.
I totally disagree with that.
Yeah,
Like,
I was actually gonna kind of play devil's advocate, but Thundaga, you can
Okay.
go ahead and do that.
Go ahead.
like,
it on.
The class lead has specifically stated that in the most recent, when I say recent, I mean 2 months, because that was the last time they talked about it. But in the most recent thing, the lead class developer for PvP said that Spellslinger was actually ahead of all the other classes in PvP.
Hmm.
I would also
That's
argue
right,
that
yes, they
Medic is
did.
going to be the highest DPS.
Now, okay,
It might be
what
soccer.
is your reasoning behind that? Besides the fact that they're
Alright.
super mobile.
They're because I think I have two reasons. One, I do have some numbers, and these numbers could be wrong because WildStar build sites are not always completely accurate.
Correct.
But from what it seems to me is that they have the highest coefficients. They have the highest um, damage per moves, as it were. For
Okay.
example, the move Gamma Rays, which is like their basic DPS consumer for their resource mechanic, has 3 beams, and the devs are expecting you not to hit all 3 beams all the time on most targets. But in a raid environment, it's very easy to hit all those. And when you do,
Supposedly.
their damage is really well. It seems to be a model size thing more than a skill shot thing. Like you can't hit players
Well,
because their size is too small.
yes and no.
Yeah,
I
it looks
mean,
like it looks like you could hit the player with 2 of them if you kind of like lined it
Yeah.
up, but like getting it to 3, like a player fits in the middle
Right.
of the middle
That's
one.
fair.
The raid
I think that's
bosses,
by,
no,
that's by
not the raid
design.
bosses, but the dungeon bosses I've seen though are humongous,
Right.
like ridiculously big. So I'm just not expecting that to be a terribly hard shot to hit. The second reason is that the devs are probably going to be kind of afraid for people playing medic because they're like, oh, it's the medic, they can't deal damage, they're a healer. So I think they're going to initially maybe even skew them a little bit until people kind of like realize, oh no, this is a fine class of DPS with. You're fine.
I don't think they'll do that because Carbine is pretty adamant about balance, and from what we've seen and heard, the game's pretty balanced right now as it is. But Gary, what are your thoughts on the DPS topic right now?
Like I don't know. I think I would like to see a melee class do the most damage,
Stalker, Stalker.
that doesn't close.
Stalker looks amazing.
In my mind, if it's
doesn't
not
close.
Spellslinger, it'll be Stalker.
like a warrior that out DPS is a stalker.
Nope, not
But
happening.
I
Nope.
don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen. Nobody
yeah.
loves the warrior that melts face. I'm betting that when the ball drops, the stalker is gonna be the highest DPS because traditionally that's what people are gonna expect, and it's just gonna kind of roll that way. But I mean, medic is a new style of class, like in certain ways. So I would say that they're going to give the stalker a run for its money. Spellslinger, I think, is going to get a big old nerf bat. And same with the Esper. I think the Esper is going to get a nerf bat too.
Sorry. I coughed a bit there. Sorry. But what I was gonna say though is that it's kind of interesting is that originally the rogue in WoW, right, has energy, and energy is amazing because everybody else has to use mana at this point in time except for like the warrior who uses rage, and energy is really nice because you never run out, right? And now for DPS though, it doesn't seem like anybody except the stalker has a cost for their offensive resource mechanics, excluding like the medic obviously builds actuators, and the warrior has this interesting new rage mechanic where you don't spend rage, but everybody else seems to have their offense abilities for free because like every healer class has mana, but it only costs mana for the support abilities.
Yeah, and I think that's where my point's gonna like I think the Spellslinger and the Esper are gonna start off maybe like pretty high on that list, and then they're just gonna drop completely because of that non-cost mechanic. Like, oh, I can just throw this ability every few seconds. It's gonna be so much damage, and I'm gonna if I tack up crit so much, I'm gonna be able to crit constantly, and I think that's just a balance mechanic. They're gonna have to nerf it.
Well, I mean, as far as what Thundaga was saying about the whole mana and the whole energy thing, I think that the reason that the Stalker has that mechanic is because they do want the game to feel. I mean, I probably going to get slapped in the face for saying this, but I think they want the game to feel World of Warcraft-esque because a lot of developers are working on WildStar. Hang on. Let me finish.
No, I just want to give you a different idea.
Well, okay.
Say familiar.
Yeah. Okay. So familiar is probably a better word there.
No, I agree with Baz. I think that 3 of the classes are almost direct parables to
Yes.
the 3 main styles of WoW, which is warrior, rogue and mage slash priest.
You know,
Yeah.
that's really important because it gives players that have been playing World of Warcraft like myself for 8, 9, 10 thousands of years a familiarity. Wow, I can't. You know what I'm trying to say. From the game.
Familiarity.
Thank you. From the game that they've been playing. I mean, even players that have been playing like Rift or Guild Wars 2 can find some similarities in the class design that Carbine has. And you know, I think that's very important, not just because it will draw more players in and they'll feel more familiar with the classes, but because it'll give players to grasp onto something that they're comfortable with. I mean, essentially, when you release a new MMO, you have to make things feel comfortable. You have to not change things just because you want to be different. I mean, like Guild Wars 2 did the whole, we're going to make the levels of gear completely different in color just because we can. Why? There was no rhyme or reason to do that. They did it anyway just because, and I still get confused because it's like, well, it goes white, green, blue.
I praised them for doing that because it confused you.
What I don't like that they did that confuses me is Moxie and
That, you know what?
I think stats is an entire show in itself. Okay.
Yeah, it is. It definitely
We shouldn't
is.
delve too deep there.
No, it definitely is.
Well, it has the
unnecessary
boxing and
change.
stuff, but it also is what it does underneath it.
But it's
Yeah.
it's a whole different show.
Let's save that for next week's show because next week's show we're going to be talking about PvP stats actually, which is kind of funny that we brought that up now, and going to be talking about balance and our concerns with how classes are going to kind of melt out in PvP. Hopefully, cross fingers that we're gonna see some more war plot coverage. We might be able to talk about that on next week's show. Please, Carbine war plots. We want to know about them. They're so cool.
Helix,
I
Fossil.
know. They need to drop
Deliver
war
us a-
plots like Wednesday next week, and then we can be like, "Ah!"
Yeah,
we get
that'd
to
be
talk
pretty
about something
amazing.
awesome.
yeah, definitely.
They did promise it not like a month ago or anything,
I know, right?
and then they talk
Yeah.
about adventures instead first. Like,
Yeah, that's okay. Anyway, so we're gonna wrap up the show, guys. I'm gonna do some sponsored plugs here. Of course, this show is sponsored by the wonderful folks over at rivalcastmedia.com. They are a internet gaming and radio website. They do a lot of really cool stuff with the community as far as doing games and talking about certain topics and pretty much anything from Doctor Who to all the way to World of Warcraft and just a really good group of guys and gals there. Really, really good community. Rivalcast is actually sponsored, so sponsor within a sponsor. Whoa, Inception is actually sponsored by Trinity Games, which provides us with our TeamSpeak server, which is just a top-notch quality server. They have a incredibly cheap service, which just is affordable and really, really. Really good quality. So check them out as well. That is going to be trinitygames.com. And also we are sponsored by altgg.com, everything esports, so check them out. Great community as well. They do a lot of stuff on StarCraft and Dota and a bunch of other just crazy games. They do a lot of really cool giveaways and stuff. Shrek, stop acting like you're frozen. You're just trying to distract me. And also, we are sponsored by this wonderful product that we like to call Chewa Snacks. And once we are done, you will see the promo there that a Shriggs has actually was actually contacted by the head Chewa of the Chewa Corporation for the Chewa Snacks.
You're welcome, Mondo Zax.
And yes, and Mondo was actually kind enough to say, hey, can you make a Spotlight commercial for us? And we're like, yeah, not a problem. So we are very happy to have them as a sponsor as well. Also, one thing very, very special running this entire month of March, I do believe it is Rivalcast is trying to help one of the local hosts win a contest. Varyar is the owner and CEO of Rivalcast, and his local store, his family owns a local sporting goods store, and they are trying to win a trophy or some cool Golden Glove trophy. And he's asking everyone to sign up. I will put the link here in the chat here. Give me just a moment here. And sign up and basically fill all the information. You have a chance to win a really cool baseball glove if you're into baseball. And even if you're not, it's worth a lot of money, so you could sell it to somebody and make some money and buy the collector's edition of WildStar. So hey, there you go. Win-win. But go to the link in the chat there and sign up. Make sure to put Ohio North Olmsted as your referral location. And that is my shameless plugs for this show. Anyone else have any plugs or shout-outs they'd like to give? Let's start with Tyremus.
Woo! A shout out to my friends.
Oh, wow. That was...
It's a lot.
Yeah, so
It's a
invigorating.
lie.
Old.
I have none.
You don't have any friends, dude. Come on.
Except I'm
Not
friends
anymore,
with I'm
man.
friends with Shrig's hat.
Shrig's hat. Shrig's
Shriek's
hat.
hat's too good for you.
Yeah.
Too good.
Oh no, I don't have any shameless plugs.
Hey, chat. My hat needs a Twitter account. Get on that.
I shamelessly plugged our Reddit in chat, and
There
I
you
said go over there. If you guys are looking for us to talk about things, and you want to know something specific, or if you want us to bring a topic to the show and bring a discussion about something, you should get over to Reddit, post what you're thinking, and then we'll start a discussion about it.
Yep.
And then if it's really catching media, we're gonna bring it on the show, and we're gonna talk about it on the show, and we'll credit you if you have a good point, and we'll discredit you if you don't. I mean, not any of that, but there you go.
Okay, awkward, but that works. Good job, Tyree. Miss Shriggs, what about yourself?
Everyone in chat, go to rivalcastmedia.com. Read my webcomic, A Brief Gank. Also, happy holidays.
Happy
Today is
holidays.
a national holiday.
Which holiday are you happy in?
What holiday are you happy?
Let's find out. 1 sec. Siri, what holiday is it today?
Oh my god.
Happy World Day of Social Justice Day.
I can only facepalm so hard.
It's an actual thing. Siri said so.
So stupid.
Last time I checked, Apple lies. Didn't they say there were like buildings in the middle of the Atlantic
I
Ocean
think so,
when you open
yeah.
the map program? Like,
Wow.
I don't know. It
that's
tells
just-
me about internment camps in North Korea, so that's not a lie.
What
Okay, moving on.
Do you have any shout-outs or plugs you'd like to do?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who showed up to watch and listen. Thanks, we appreciate it. When we get beta keys, we will totally, give them away. But we didn't have any this week, and we're sorry for that.
Yeah.
So, because Carbine's kind of harsh on that. It takes forever to get in their beta, apparently.
You know what?
AKA,
You know
years.
what? The $20 I sent them, they sent back to me and said try better. So I was like, what? Okay, so
you could have
At least we know they have high standards.
You could have at least like baked $20 cupcakes, like cupcakes shaped like $20 bills.
that could work. You know what? I will get right on that. I will do that. All right, guys. So follow us on social media. Is going to be basically any social media that you go to is going to be /officially10. It's on Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. Also, we are forming a guild, which is going to be on the Dominion side. It's going to be focused on the rating aspect of 20 and 40-man PvE, as well as war plots and competitive PvP in arenas. We're probably not going to do battlegrounds because
General Guild.
yeah, I mean, and
Well,
battlegrounds
you
are
get-
What are we
I don't
planning to
know.
call our guild, Baz? What's like the pro's name right now?
the pro's name is going to be TurboStar
TurboStar.
TM trademark. So
Yeah, we're TurboStar.
or yeah, and
Didn't I come up with that?
I don't
I
know.
totally did. I
That was
totally
me.
did.
Don't.
I-
no.
I did that.
You know,
I have
you?
the chat log, sir.
I wanted to call us Raid Frosting, but apparently that was
No,
like
no,
that was
no,
like
I came up with that name.
oh yes you did.
Yeah.
But
Raid Frosting is
apparently
good.
that was like a huge weird innuendo and it was
Maybe
not
it's an
appropriate.
arena team. Maybe an
No, it
arena
was just Raid Frost.
But I like Raid Frosting. It just sounds so cool. I don't know, whatever. Oy vey. Anyway,
Like, man.
guys. Oy vey. Anyway, guys, thank you guys very much for listening. I do appreciate it. Also, I want to give a quick community shout out to Mog Nation. They do a podcast called Wildcast, and was talking with a couple other guys over Twitter, and they're awesome. Go check out their stuff on iTunes. Just look up Wildcast. Really, really cool stuff. Very, very good. It's kind of unfair because they get to talk about the beta and all this cool stuff, and but they're very, very informative, very, very, very great guys. So big shout out to them. And till next week, guys, this will be 7:30 Eastern Standard Time in the PMs on Thursday, where we talk about the PvP stats and balance and what our thoughts, fears, and
That's
greatest.
4:30 for you Pacific people.
Yes. I mean, just Google time zone conversion. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it. Please enjoy this promo while we head out. If any of you talk during this, I will murder you. See you guys. Goodbye.
Hey there, kids. Are you tired of your old, boring Exile brand cereal? We sure are, mister. Then you need to try some Chewa Snacks. Wow, what are those? Chewa Snacks are food specially designed by top Chewa scientists to be edible. That sounds great! A chewy, 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 chewy Chewa Snacks. That's not a third arm on your back. Disclaimer, Chewa Snacks do not cause
Cancer, heart disease, work cancer, diarrhea, exploding, split foot, retinal fever, which is fur, warfare, hot one night syndrome, hand, sand, fever, cold nose, depression, exciting, kind of mad, sympathy, anger, hatred, sadness, joy, jubilance, disdain, sun, diarrhea, long nails, short nails, just nails, hair, hands, mango, brain fever, abnormal vaginal bleeding, acid, acquired hypothalamus, scrotum, arthritis, hairitis, corneal ulcer, snow blindness, Fuchs dystrophy, keratoconus, pneumonitis, special leishmaniasis, baby plague, baby band, Ebola, anthrax, abdominal aortic aneurysm, heart, syndrome, AIDS, HIV, syndrome, AIDS, disease, and sausage ears.
but all Exile brand anything does.